Okay, here we go. I'm pretty sure I already mentioned this in the very first episode of this podcast, and I probably went into it uh, at great length there, but that was like 2.5 years ago, so I think it bears repeating and in greater detail. Aside from my um, obsession with anime, and well before my obsession with anime, I was and still am a huge fan of Rooster Teeth. I believe I initially discovered them. God, what year is it? It was either 2006 or 2007, around then. My friend Tyler in 8th grade showed me, or told me about Red versus Blue. And this would, by this time, I had the Blood Gulch Chronicles were already complete. And so basically, I had 100 episodes of content to dive into, and it basically changed everything about how I view media. In part because it was the first sort of tentpole internet series that I really got attached to. And again, this is 2006. YouTube has only been around for about a year by this point. So we are like still firmly in the realm of most stuff you have to go to a website to find the thing that you're looking for. Like video aggregate sites are just now starting to form. Now, granted, YouTube did grow fairly quickly in comparison to all of the other ones, and that is where I watched most of Red versus Blue for a very long time until I discovered how to get to the Rooster Teeth website, which I believe at the time was still called redversusblue.com. It might have been changed into Rooster Teeth by then. I'm not entirely sure. It probably was already Rooster Teeth by then. But it had an entire tab solely dedicated to Red versus Blue on the menu at the top of the web page. I do remember that much. And once I had watched all of Red versus Blue for probably the 4th or 5th time or something, eventually I started to explore more of their content thanks to that lovely little website of theirs. Like, aside from YouTube, roosterteeth.com was the site that I visited the most. Like, I didn't have MySpace, and I wasn't on Facebook until like 2010, I think. So I had no concept of social media. So Red versus Blue and the forums of the Rooster Teeth website were my go-to. Now, I'm not gonna like put up like any falsehoods or anything. I didn't really use forums that much. I was never really a forum person, I guess. I didn't really have my own computer. My mom had a computer that at one point was in like her bedroom, and then at another point was in our kitchen, and at one point was in the living room, and then dining room, and so on and so forth. But even still, the hell was I talking about? Forums, right? So I didn't really have like personal time with the computer until I got a laptop in like, God, it must have been right before I went to college. So, like, social media was not even if it was a thing at the time, I probably wouldn't have been able to use it that much because I just didn't. That's just not how I had access to a computer. I had access to watch videos, and I didn't really I guess I just didn't really have any interest in forums, I guess. But occasionally I would check out the Rooster Teeth community forums, and it was a fun time. But more so than that, I was just, once I found the Rooster Teeth website, I just dove head first into all of their content. I binged all of their other Machinima series that basically no one remembers. Like, what was it, 1-800-MAGIC? There was one that was based at Fears, which I believe is based on the Prey video game. All of them except Strangerhood. Because, listen, everyone knows Strangerhood is terrible. It was, even my brain even back then knew, like, this isn't very interesting or fun. But they had so much other stuff. They had all the other Machinima series. They had RT Shorts was starting to spin up around that time. I think that was around the time season 2 of RT Shorts was starting, I think. I remember, I think actually, like, the first time I discovered RT Shorts was with the Pongo short, actually. I think that was the first one I ever saw. And so I just kind of became obsessed with Rooster Teeth. It was like Rooster Teeth stuff kind of overtook my YouTube consumption by that point, because like YouTube had like my music and stuff that I would listen to, that I didn't like buy on YouTube was the place where I looked for new music. And actually, I didn't really buy that much on iTunes at all. I imported stuff that I had on physical CDs. Again, I'm fucking almost 31 years old now, so I feel like I am a tad bit older than most of my audience. I'm not entirely sure of that, but I feel like that might be the case. So I'm a little bit of an old head, which I'm sure the 40-year-olds are screaming at me now. For some reason, they should go to bed. But yeah, so YouTube was the place where I like discovered new music, and occasionally I would watch like animations and stuff. I remember there was some kind of Metal Gear anime. It might have been an Ego Raptor thing. I'm like, did he have a Metal Gear animation? He probably did. But yeah, I would go to YouTube for like animations and music. But if I wanted to watch like scripted content, like full out scripted content, I would go to roosterteeth.com. And I would continue to do that well into college, really. Like, it was just mostly because that was where, like, when new episodes of Red vs. Blue dropped, they wouldn't be... Actually, I don't quite remember when Rooster Teeth got their YouTube channel. It had to have been, had to have been around 2010-ish or 2009, maybe. I could look that up right now, but I'm lazy. Because I know in 2010 was when they first started doing like a Let's Play series that was Jeff and Michael doing Saints Row 4 or 3. I think it was Saints Row 3, actually. Yeah, because Saints Row 4 is way more recent. But yeah, they did that was the first we'll get to that later. But anyway, before their YouTube channel, the Rooster Teeth website was the main place where you could get new Red versus Blue. People would still rip it and post it onto YouTube, but which is where I discovered it in the first place. But when new episodes dropped every Monday, they would go live on the Rooster Teeth site. And if you were a member, you could watch it. Like, if you were a member of the site, you could watch it like an hour before everyone else or something. And then I think like first members, like the paid subscription people, got it on like Fridays or something. I'm not quite sure. I didn't really have money to pay for Rooster Teeth until really a few years ago. That's just the downsides of being poor, I guess. And I didn't have a job all through college, and then I basically just worked wage jobs after college. But anyway, so yeah, the Rooster Teeth website was the place to be. And then I believe, must have been 2008. That was when Reconstruction started airing. And I bring that up specifically because Reconstruction was the first time that I started thinking about writing. Like, in the sense of, I saw something on screen and I had the idea of, like, I had the realization of, someone wrote that. Someone wrote that really cool twist of Church isn't actually a ghost. He is an AI. That twist just has lived rent-free in my head for the past 15 years now. Well, over 15 years, actually. 16? I guess we're around 15 and a half, whatever. That was like the first, like, I'm sure I have seen many a plot twist before that, but that was like my first realization of, oh, that is a plot twist, and it was really fucking cool. And I think more than anything else, I would point to that moment of me unlocking my creative side, of going from someone who really I didn't really have passions. I had things that I liked. I liked playing music. I liked watching stuff on the internet. I liked reading if the book was good. I liked Comedy Central. But it wasn't until late in high school that I started to actually have a passion for writing. Now, I had written this really terrible pseudo fanficky kind of story in like 2007. It's never going to see the light of day, but if you have ever played the game Freedom Fighters for the PS2, it was based around that. And I will not explain any further. So, anyway, Reconstruction was the first time I really thought about writing and the creative process. And like and I think a lot of it's because of thinking that moment, the big reveal happens, like right before the big reveal, there is this long explanation of a bunch of different events that had happened before that, showing you how many seeds had been planted in the lead up to this reveal. And I just found that to be fucking incredible at the time. And I rewatched it about a week ago. I rewatched all of the first 13 seasons of RVB in the lead up to Restoration. And Reconstruction is still like my second or third favorite season. It is goddamn incredible what the storytelling that they're able to do with that. And also the fact that it's still fucking hilarious. That Reconstruction is where the worst throw ever of all time gag comes from. So it annoys me to no end when people say that it got too serious after Blood Gulch and stopped being funny, because there is so much fucking hilarious shit after that. Some of the most iconic moments in some of the most iconic jokes in the franchise come after that. But anyway, that happened, and I kept watching the Recollection saga. Just every week I would be like in front of my computer screen waiting for the episodes to drop. And then in it was season 8, episode 3, I believe, is another like big galaxy brained media moment for me, because that is what I guess is colloquially known in the Rooster Teeth fandom as the wall break, which is, if you haven't seen it, well, you had 15 years to get to it, so I'm going to spoil it. There's a scene where Wash and Sarge are talking, and they're doing it's doing the machinima thing that Red vs. Blue has been doing for the past 7 years at that point. And the conversation keeps going, and at some point, the wall next to them it's on the Valhalla map in Halo 3. The wall explodes open, and here comes Griff in a warthog driving through that wall. It is a fully animated motion capture animated sequence, and that scene fucking blew my 17-year-old mind. That was like one of the coolest fucking things I had ever seen, because it didn't seem possible to me. Like, just the fact that it went from this very simple machinimation stuff to this badass, awesome fight sequence, choreographed and animated by Monty Ohm, who would go on to become one of my personal heroes. And that really cemented that entire season actually cemented Red vs. Blue as one of my favorite media properties of all time. At that point, it was I probably liked it more than Pokemon. Like, I had sort of been falling off with Pokemon by that point. The anime had gone to shit. And the games were okay, but not... the specifics things about the games weren't quite hitting the sweet spot that I was hoping for. Except for they had that was around the time of the Heart Gold and Soul Silver remakes, so I had those. Those were fun. But yeah, at that point, Rooster Teeth was Rooster Teeth was absolutely my favorite company, and then Red vs. Blue was probably my favorite intellectual property ever of all time. And Rooster Teeth and Red vs. Blue would continue to influence my life in absolutely fundamental baseline ways. Like the end of season 9, when Church lets go of Tex, helped me get over this unrequited love that I had for This girl in the that I hung around with a lot in college. When Let's Play started spinning up out of Achievement Hunter, I would just binge all of those, and those videos became like a focal point through which I would like get back into gaming. Like, that was when I had been a gamer for a good chunk of my life, but like the last 2 years of high school, I had kind of fallen off with it. But like when the Minecraft Let's Play started up again, I got back into gaming, and if I hadn't, I don't know if I would have fallen in with a new group of friends that I met when I was a sophomore in college and are now my best friends to this very day. That, like, I talk to them online at least 2 to 3 times a week. We have a constantly talking to them in Facebook Messenger. This company has just been fundamentally shaping everything about me for as long as I've interacted with it. And seeing people like Monty Ohm and Bernie and Gavin and Jeff just being these fascinating little indie creatives. The real, like, started in a spare closet and now are the, like, premier talents of a burgeoning internet age. It gave me the confidence to be more creative myself. It gave me the idea that I could do this, along with the fact that that in college, like 2012 to like 2015 was like one of the first big booms in the realm of like anime reviews on YouTube. So like those two forces combined led me to doing this, talking on the internet to a bunch of people who will hopefully like what I have to say, writing out fully edited scripts and recording audio and editing that audio and editing video along with it. None of this would be a thing without Rooster Teeth, because they inspired me to be more creative. And that has been a constant in my life forever. Not always with the same properties. Again, I don't particularly enjoy most of Red vs. Blue after the Chorus trilogy. So when that fell off, I switched over to Ruby, and at the same time I was still watching a ton of Let's Play content. When Ruby fell off, that was around when Camp was springing up, I think, or maybe that was a little earlier. And then all the while there was the Let's Plays and stuff like that. And then there were the first exclusive shows like Last Laugh and Camp Betrayal, Survive Block Island. And when the pandemic hit, they started spinning up all their podcasts, which I've been listening to non-fucking stop, like Face Jam and Fuckface and Anma. And of course, like the RT podcast, which I started listening to around like episode 30 or something, or 20, somewhere around there. And that ended with almost 800 episodes a few weeks ago. this company has defined my media experience just as much as anime. It's so incredibly fundamental to who I am as a person. And now they're gone. I believe today is the final day in the office for most of the Rooster Teeth talent. And 5 days from now, on the 15th, the website is going to go offline. And weirdly enough, I feel not... What's the word I'm looking for? I feel like I should be feeling more than I am right now, and I honestly think it's because my brain cannot wrap I cannot wrap my head around the fact that there will be no Rooster Teeth next week. This company that has been around since I was 13, almost to, like, what is that, like 60% of my life now, almost, is going to be gone. And I cannot process that, I guess, until it happens. Like, I did this slow wind down process has kind of helped. Like, the podcasts slowly petering off over the past 2 months. And then we got the final season of Red vs. Blue, which was really more of a movie, to be honest. And I guess I'll talk about that for a little bit. But to be honest, I don't have much to say about it. I'm going to say, on the positive end, it is a very satisfying send-off to all of the characters, and the, like, plot ideas that they come up with are fucking brilliant. What they do with Tucker and the alpha fragments in this is brilliant. And I feel satisfied. And I say theoretically because despite that, it felt like this final entry needed at least another 30 minutes. And Bernie had mentioned this briefly on his Morning Somewhere podcast, that they didn't really have the resources to put behind it to make it longer. Like, it is as long as they could have physically made it, which I get it. That's why the company is shutting down, or one of the reasons. Another reason is because Zaslav is something horrible word that I will get. If I talk any more about David Zaslav, I will something redacted. Anyway, but yeah, this restoration needed at least another 30 minutes of content in order to be satisfying and to fill it with more jokes, because honestly, there was a point in restoration where, like, I just stopped laughing, not because the jokes weren't funny, but because the jokes just stopped. And even with like the heavier seasons of Red vs. Blue, like the back half of Project Freelancer and the conclusions of the Chorus trilogy seasons, and with Revelation, there were still a ton of jokes in those climaxes. Like, they were still constantly funny throughout, even though the subject matter was kind of serious. And Restoration didn't really have that. So, like, that is. And I'm not going to get into specifics about it because I just don't have the heart to do that. But I would still highly recommend watching Restoration if you are a big Red versus Blue fan. It is a good conclusion, and I'm glad I've watched it. I just wish I had a little more time. And I wish Rooster Teeth had a little more time. And I'm not really sure how things are going to be after them. Because I just don't know. It's going to be weird. It's going to be very weird. Not that my life has ever been anything but weird, but it's going to feel different. Things are going to change. But you know what? That's just part of growing up, I guess. You grow and you change. Things that you did before, you just don't do anymore now because you have changed. Kind of like how I've mostly stopped making scripted videos. I'm sure I didn't need to tell you that based on my upload schedule, but I have mostly stopped doing that. Not because I don't want to, although it is a little bit more strenuous on me now. Well, that's not a reason why I don't want to do it. It's just that at this point, I really don't have time to consistently make videos anymore. I started my channel when I was working part-time. Well, actually, I started it before that when I was in college, but my channel, like, the heyday of my channel was when I was working part-time, and, like, the first season of 12 Days of Anime was right when I got the job that I am currently getting, which was my first full-time job, doing 40 hours a week. And I still kept up like a decent upload schedule, but it started becoming less and less frequent until this all of last year, and like actually all of the last 2 years, really. I had 12 Days of Anime at the end of 2022, and then it took me 9 months to put the Pokemon Journeys video together. And then now it's been, another 8 months since that. And I want to make videos. I have a ton of stuff that I want to write about. I have a Love Live video in the can right now, all recorded and ready to be edited. But I just don't have time. I get tired after work way more than I used to. I have a lot more stuff outside of work that I have to take care of now. I actually have a full PC setup instead of a shitty laptop, so now I have more chances to game with those friends that I mentioned earlier. I am working on... I had the ANN gig for a little bit, which I guess is still making videos, but it's not like me personally making videos. And I'm bringing all of this up because about a month ago, I think, I got a notice from YouTube that my metrics were no longer enough for me to monetize my channel. And so you could I think at this point that is like gone now. So my videos are no longer monetized if the timing lines up correctly. And it made me really wonder why I'm here. Because I still have the side channel where I'm uploading all that random talky stuff, and I love having that as a resource for when I want to go back and think about a show, what my thoughts were on a show in the moment. But that's never going to be a broad appeal for anybody. That's just me ranting into a void for 160 subscribers right now. That's not going to reach the audience anywhere close to the audience that back in the heyday of my channel that they reached. And like, you could say like, oh, you just have to make videos for yourself. You don't have to make them for your audience. Yeah, you can do that. But don't let people bullshit you like that. It is infinitely more gratifying to make a video that hundreds of thousands of people see than it is to make a video that only 500 people see. Like, let's not beat around the bush about that. You have to deal with more stupid people, but you also get to deal with a lot more interesting people. You get to bounce your ideas off of more people than you would have ever had the chance to, even on like Twitter or something. And like it really just kind of hit me, just this idea of I haven't put in enough work for my YouTube channel to be monetizable anymore. And if all goes according to plan with my personal life, eventually I'm going to have a job that is going to take up even more of my time. It's going to be a highly demanding and highly stressful job. I'm not going to say what it is, since I still haven't officially gotten it yet, even though it's been over a year, actually almost exactly a year now since I applied. It's a government job, so it's moving at the speed of government. But if I get this job, it's going to be a very high stress job that's going to be very mentally taxing. Obviously, the pay is going to be worth it, but that also means that any chance of me making more content more frequently in the future is absolutely fucking gone. I will not if I get this job, well, who knows? I can't predict the future, but you'd be lucky to get a video a year out of me if I get this job. I mean, you barely get that now, I guess, so not much has changed. But it's scary thinking about the future. I'm not worried about finances or anything. I have ways to make enough money to live and even thrive. I have figured out enough ways to game all of the systems that I'm in to survive. But am I thriving? I haven't written anything in months. I haven't edited anything since the Pokemon video, which was 8 months ago. I'm still just kind of sitting here watching anime, and boy, do I fucking love watching anime. But I just don't have the time and energy to really crank out those videos anymore. I'm not a 26, how old was I? Hold on, let me do math. What fucking year? Yeah, 26. I'm not a 24-year-old cranking out content after I get home from my part-time job anymore. I am a almost 31-year-old who barely has the energy to do anything more than sit in front of a TV and watch anime, I guess. And I just feel like it feels very upsetting to think that I will never get back to that. And I know it's an effort thing on my part. I'm just whinging into the microphone now, but getting that little automated email around the same time that the other huge part of my life was being shut down by a evil mega corporation really threw me into an existential crisis, I guess. And I'm really hoping that I will find a way to bust out of it, because if I don't, I mean, I'll keep living. I'll keep surviving. But is that living? I want to write more. And hopefully the fact that the resource that I got for Pathfinder, which is like the Pepsi of Dungeons and Dragons, I just got a resource book for that that explores the setting. Well, actually, I didn't get it yet. It comes in next week, but it explores the setting that I've been wanting to write a campaign for. So maybe once I finally have that, I will finally get around to doing something a little more creative than just sitting on my bed and talking into a camera. I sure as fuck hope so, because I'm getting tired of being me sometimes, getting tired of being a lazy kind of guy, because I don't think I am not a very motivated person anymore. It's all being drained out of me by a variety of factors that I don't quite wish to discuss on mic, but the fact that my favorite production company is going away certainly isn't helping matters. And I have no clue what everything is going to look like after that. But the only way to find out is to find out. Ain't that a bitch?